All right. So thanks everybody for showing up. This is Rob here with Sticks at the Shore. And today I'm joined by the none other than John Huber from Crown Heads. Thank you,
Rob,
John. I am extremely humbled for you showing up on the show. Um,
pleasure is all mine, man. Absolutely.
I appreciate it. I'm a new guy here in the scene, trying to just build my brand and build my channel. And I
But
just
already you have excellent taste in headwear. I can applaud you
I
for
can tell,
that.
yeah. And like I
Nicely
wanted to
done.
say thank you so much for the extremely gracious care package you sent beforehand.
Cheers.
And actually today I'm smoking the new
Oh,
Coroneta,
nice,
the
nice.
Maduro.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this is an absolutely deliciously amazing cigar.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're enjoying it, actually.
Oh, absolutely. Um, so I just wanted to I wanted to have you on the show just because to me I just really gravitated towards you and your brand only because you just seem like a real down to earth, hardworking, kind of salt of the earth kind of guy. And I feel like you're always giving love to the cigar community and you're always putting it out in the universe. And unfortunately, our world is not a very nice place right now.
Yeah,
And our world needs more people like you and me to kind of put that out there just to um, you know, put the love out there because we got to be nice to each other
I
and
appreciate it, man.
just being the honest, hardworking guy. Just those people are few and far between.
Well, man, I started off in this industry not unlike yourself, just, doing it because I loved it and I wanted to get into it. So, I mean, that really hasn't changed at all in the 25 years that I've been doing this, or 20, God, it's been more than that. It's 96 for, God, it's going to be almost 30 years I've been doing this, man.
Wow,
This is crazy. Yeah, it goes
that's
by now.
amazing.
It is. It is. I started when I was 12.
How'd you get started when you were 12? That's
No,
actually
I
one of my
wasn't
first
12.
questions.
I got
I was about to
started
say,
because I was literally like at a crossroads in my life, like a lot of people probably can
hmm
relate to. And I'd had so many bad jobs and so many just, bad experiences that I was like, I want to do something that I love doing so that I don't really have a job per se, so that I can do
yeah.
something I love every day. And it was a process. It took a lot of soul searching, and I kind of narrowed it down to a couple of different paths, and I chose cigars, and I never looked
All
back
right.
after that. So yeah, that's the
That's a that's amazing. It's kind of I think once you hit that certain age, you're kind of like soul searching. Everybody soul
mm,
searches a little bit, be like, is this what I really want to do? Is this really what I
yeah,
love? Because a lot of people have told me like if you're doing something you love, you don't work a day in your life.
a very wise
So I
man
mean,
told me the same thing. John Waskin,
I mean,
rest in peace. Yes, true.
and it's amazing because being able to work around cigars, I can only imagine the just the fun that you have, just going out, meeting people, connecting, um, just making new blends and putting new cigars out there and going on, road trips. I'm sure it's just a blast.
Yeah, I do a lot. I used to do a lot more of that part of it back in the day, and
Okay.
some of my best memories, those what you referenced, road trips and travel and this and that. But
Yeah.
it's a little different for me now. I'm more based and rooted in Nashville because I have a family
Okay.
here, and so I try to prioritize my family before work. So I try to keeping a balance of that. But we've got a full team of guys and girls that actually now canvass the states for us and
Yeah.
do that part of it. So yeah, my thing is mostly just staying here, and it's home, warehouse, repeat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
that kind of a
course.
thing. So, but I'm happy. I'm blessed to do it.
It's great.
It's
And it's
great.
funny that you say Nashville because that's also one of the things that kind of drew me to the brand. So I have family out in Nashville, so I'm in
Mhm.
Nashville on a regular basis.
Oh wow. Okay,
And
cool.
I did not even know you guys were out there
Yeah.
until like since my last visit. So next time I'm in Nashville, I'm gonna have to stop by just to see you guys and
Absolutely, man. Doors wide open.
see
See our
your
humble
operations and
operations.
yeah, see the humble operations where the magic happens, as they say.
Yeah, actually, I kind of think that the magic happens at the factory level, and Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic. But we get emails on a weekly basis because a lot of people are visiting Nashville as tourists and what have you.
Yeah.
So they say, "Hey, I'm a fan. Can we come by?" And I'm like, you're more than welcome, but really all it is a couple of office
It's
spaces and a warehouse with a loading dock. So
mhm.
there's probably better things to see and do in Nashville, but if you're so inclined, we're here. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a storefront in Nashville or no?
We don't. We don't.
We don't.
At one point, many years ago, that was the idea. I was trying to make a destination space,
Okay.
and we just, for lack of available space, we couldn't make that happen. It may happen in the future, but no, we don't have
Yeah.
a. Plus, we can't sell direct to consumer anyway. The only thing that you'd be able to purchase would be like merchandise.
Yeah,
But
of course.
cigars, I mean, there are a plethora of great tobacconists here in Nashville and around Nashville that carry all of our stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm never at a shortage of places to point people in terms of the right place to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you say that because I mean, this is when you sent me the care package that had the Coroneta in it, it had a Coronet, the Coronetas, the Lavarettas, and there was one other one that you sent. Um,
Maybe a Mil Diaz Maduro,
yeah, the Mil
possibly.
Diaz, it was
Yeah.
Habano. Yeah, so
Oh,
the
the
Mil Diaz
original. Okay.
Habano.
Okay.
And this is my first Coroneta, and I can't find it anywhere because none of my local brick and mortars right now have it.
Hmm.
But you can be sure I'm going to be ordering a ton of these things because this
Where
is
where are you?
fantastic.
Where are you at?
I'm in New Jersey. I'm on the
Okay.
Jersey Shore, which is why we call Sticks at the Shore.
All right.
I've grown up here my entire life. I'm a shore kid. I've grown up literally 5 minutes from the beach my entire life.
Lucky you.
Yeah. I
That's a
mean,
good
it's
place
like,
to
I mean,
be.
you guys are in a good scene too. You got, you walk down Main Street, Nashville, and you got like bars down Main Street like crazy, just open doors with live music like
Y-
all week long. It's
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
yeah, it is great. It's a great place to visit. But as far as like locals, you'll find that most Nashvillians are local to the city.
Yeah.
Don't really venture that much downtown to Broadway because it's pretty much it's like imagine New Orleans and Vegas had a baby. That's what Lower Broadway has evolved
Yeah.
or
Of
devolved to.
course.
So
Of course. They got some good barbecue.
yeah, I'm not a barbecue guy. It's
Oh
funny. Yeah,
no.
man. Yeah, I've never really, I mean, I'll eat it if it's there, but I don't go out of my way to
Yeah.
get
All
it.
right.
Just, yeah.
But you've been busy. So earlier this year you released what got me started. My first crowned heads was the Four Kicks 444.
Oh yeah, for
You
Briarworks. Yeah, sure.
for Briarworks, which
Yeah.
was a Briarworks exclusive, which you can only buy through their website.
Hmm.
And then you put out the Coroneta, which is what I'm smoking today.
Yep.
And then also later this year, you're bringing out Las Calaveras. Is it?
The announcement, I don't know when you're going to post this, but um, when this, I don't, it'll be out by now, but tomorrow is when we're announcing it. We're announcing it on the 12th. So we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, so
So
the
you've
Las
been,
Calaveras.
I mean, you've been super busy.
Yeah, I mean it's you know when I started this thing, 10, 11 years ago, I wanted to focus on brands, and then slowly we fell into this limited edition kind of a business
Yeah.
cycle where it's become part and parcel of our business every year.
Yeah.
So we dropped mil so far this year. I'll just going down the list. We did, in addition to the 444, we did Mil Diaz Maduro as a regular production. We did Blood Medicine as a limited
Yeah. Blood
edition.
medicine. That's the one I forgot.
That one went crazy. And then at the trade show, which was early this year, we did Coroneta Maduro, Coroneta Habano, and tomorrow we'll be dropping Las Calaveras 2024. So yeah, and we're not even halfway through the year, I think.
Yeah. Halfway,
So
not even halfway through the year yet. Yeah.
yeah, I've already been working on stuff for the second part of the year. So it's by the time you guys see what is coming out, I'm already probably 3 projects down the road. So
Of course. Of course.
it's
That's how
it's
it's
a
got to work. You
I
can't work,
know
you
it's
know.
endless. It's endless, man. So yeah, it's been
But
busy.
so how did you come up with crown heads exactly? Like where was it born out of?
It was born out of the necessity to do something because the company I worked with prior to this company called CAO, and CAO, I started with them in 96. And at that time, we were it was, really small. In fact, they didn't have cigars, barely had cigars at that point. It was mostly humidors. And then
Yeah.
we started getting more into cigars. And then fast forward to 2007, I think. So 11 years later, the company was acquired, sold to a company called Henry Winterman's, who was then acquired by STG, Scandinavian Tobacco Group.
Yeah.
And then by 2010, CAO was absorbed and moved to Richmond. So at that point, it became necessary for me to do something else. And I really didn't know what that was going to be. I was just focusing on finishing CAO and doing everything I was required there. But then in the middle of 2010, my now business partner, who was basically my boss at the time, Mike Condor, approached me just casually and said, "Hey, when this is over, do you want to do something?" And I was like, absolutely. Mike and I had a great friendship and business relationship, and I've learned a lot from
Yeah.
him over the years as well. So it was as easy as that. So, I mean, on my last day at CAO was December, what was it, the 17th, 2010. And by December 21st, Mike and I were taking our first meetings towards what would become Crowned Heads. So, we didn't waste a lot of time. We went right into it.
And where'd you get the name Crown Heads from?
Wizard of Oz, actually, the
Okay,
movie.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I was watching. It's a movie. I like the mythology behind it and all the stories behind the. I'm kind of a film nerd at some point,
Okay.
and so I was watching it one day, like I think it was like maybe early Feb or mid Jan of
Hmm.
2011, and there's a scene on where Dorothy meets Professor Marvel, and on the side of his caravan says crowned heads of Europe, past, present, and future. I screenshotted it, I texted it to Mike, and I said, "What do you think of the name crowned heads?" And he's
Okay,
like, "Yeah, I like it." And so we ran it
that's
by the
cool.
attorney. Yeah, it was one of the few that we both agreed on that the attorneys also said, "You can go ahead and register this." And so we did, and that was it. And it was funny because when we announced it in February with Cigar Aficionado, they had the story. A lot of people thought that there was a different meaning for it. They thought crowned heads was the C and the H for Condor and Huber. Some people thought
Okay.
crowned head was the top of the cigar, how it crowns some Cuban cigars called it a crowned
Yeah.
head. But it never even occurred to me. So it's just as simple as that. My whole thing was I wanted a name for the company to be kind of ambiguous enough that we could explore other lanes if so desired. So if crowned heads could have been a cigar, it could be a spirit, it could be a whiskey, crowned heads, whatever. It could be anything, it could be a
Hmm.
coffee. So I just wanted it to create a name that gave us that creative latitude and also made people ask the question like you just did, what is crowned heads?
Yeah, that's interesting because I grew up watching all the old movies like Wizard of Oz, Sound
Hmm.
of Music. It was all stuff that I got, from my family and my mom when I was growing up,
Sure.
and it grew up. It's something that we watch every year. They put it on TV every year.
Right.
And like you said, you were watching it earlier this year, and it's amazing where people come up with things like that, and it's just you would never have known it. And I totally missed it. Like I said, that's why I asked you.
Yeah. Well, I get that question a lot, and people are always usually surprised to find out how kind of left field it was, how
Yeah,
we came out with it.
yeah.
But yeah, it's working, it's stuck, and so it's been good. Knock on wood.
Where do you come up with your inspiration, like for your blends? Like when you're like, okay, we want to sit down, we want to make a cigar. Where do you usually start?
Yeah, it just varies, to be honest with you. It could be with an idea for a brand, or it could be a specific tobacco that I want to build something around. It could be,
Okay.
like Ernesto could show me a hand of tobacco, and I'll be like, "What is that? And what's the yield? And how much do we have to play with? Can I use it as regular production? Can I?" So we'll start. It could be anywhere. It could start from the tobacco. It could start from the brand idea. It could start from, Headley Grange was a brand we came out with in 2012, I think. Um, and that started with a sound of a drum, basically from a Led Zeppelin song. And
Mm.
so it could be, it's all over the board for me. I never really have a very set routine of what's going to drive something. It's all over the place.
Yeah, because I know a lot of a couple other people. Like I just talked to Sebastian Decope the other day, and he was like, a lot of his stuff comes from like a specific flavor profile.
Hmm.
So it's nice to see that you don't just use specific flavor profiles. You're kind of like all over the place with like brands and flavor profiles and different types of tobacco.
Definitely all over the place. One thing I won't try to do is replicate the same thing, and I don't want things to compete with each other. Because, like, for instance, even though we have various darker cigars that would be quantified as Maduro, each one has a different flavor profile, whether it's the Carem, Coroneta Habano, I mean, excuse me, Coroneta Maduro, Mil
Yeah.
Diaz Maduro, they're all different expressions in that same lane of a Maduro, quote unquote. So
Yeah.
I'm always trying to, I mean, there's just too many new things to work on to, be repetitive or redundant.
Yeah, well, I've had the Diaz Maduro, and it's good and definitely different than the Coroneta that I'm smoking now.
Hmm.
It's definitely you taste a huge difference in the flavor profiles from,
Well, the
the two
components are
cigars.
completely different between those two cigars
Yeah,
too. The Mil Diaz Maduro uses a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, and
yeah,
what you're smoking is a San Andreas Mexican Maduro wrapper.
yeah.
So
Which, by the way, are two of my favorite wrappers anyway. I tend to go towards either the Mexican or the Connecticut broadleaf.
yeah,
Now,
as do a lot of people, it seems.
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, because I mean it's nice, it's sweet, it's got a lot of flavor, got some
Hmm.
punch to it, and
And
that's what.
I also think, like, especially for the domestic market, not
Mhm.
necessarily Europe, but here in the States, I think people tend to smoke with their eyes. And by that I mean, when you go into a store, you kind of instinctively gravitate towards the darker cigars. Most people do, in my
Yeah,
experience. I mean, that's not my preference, but I find that the majority of people really go, oh, well, that's dark, that's oily, that's got to be, da 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 da. So,
yeah. And it's funny because I actually was just reading an article the other day about how um, just because it's a dark cigar doesn't mean it's a strong cigar.
mhm.
Just because it's a light cigar doesn't, just because it's like, it looks like a Connecticut shade wrapper doesn't mean it's going to be a
100%
puff
true.
pillow. Yeah.
100% true. And in fact, with that, the Coroneta Maduro, the idea for the profile, my inspiration for the flavor profile when I was working with Ernesto on it was I did not want to create like a pepper bomb. Like a lot of darker cigars in
Yeah.
the recent years are very peppery and very
Oh, of
intense,
course. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great. I mean, there's a place for that. Like our Tennessee
Hmm.
Waltz is a good example of that.
Yeah.
But I wanted something that harkened back more to like the mid to late 90s classic Maduros, like the Ashton Age to Maduro, which is,
Hmm.
way back, but it was just more of a dessert cigar, which is just, it was richer, rounder, just more chocolatey and just easier to smoke and less pepper. And I think that's
Yeah.
what we were going for with the Coroneta for sure on the Maduro side.
I know people say it's like picking a favorite child, but
Hmm.
you're not supposed to pick a favorite child. But
Right.
what do you tend to pick up if you like, man, I just want to smoke a Crown Head today? Like, what do you usually gravitate towards?
That's tough
Do you have?
because I mean, like right now, well, for the most part, like almost always, everything I'm smoking doesn't have a band on it because it's usually a sample blend or
Sample or test? Yeah.
yeah, a test blend or something that I'm trying to see how it's aging or how that blend is progressing or what have you. So it's a lot of it for me is just kind of product development. But if
Hmm.
it's something that's got a band on it that I'm going to go to the start my day off with, I mean, lately that's been the Lavaretta, especially the number 54.
Okay.
That cigar for me is just I think it's a masterpiece. I love that cigar, and I because I know a little bit more about the tobaccos that went into it, and I
Yeah.
realize how special that cigar is. So I treat myself to that. That would probably be my go-to lately. But for the last, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, it's been a lot of Las Calaveras stuff. Just seeing how the cigars are moving and doing.
Yeah.
And
I'm actually looking forward to it.
I am too. It's always a fun time of year for everybody here
Yeah.
at Crown Heads because we get to, it's like the grand unveiling and everybody kind of pays attention. It's probably arguably our most successful brand, period. And even more so than Mil Diaz or any of the cigars to this point. I mean, just
Yeah.
it's amazing to me still that like 10 years into this that we can sell out, 100,000 cigars in a matter of hours. And
Yeah.
that's what's happened in the last couple of 2 or 3 years. So we'll see if it follows form tomorrow when we start selling it. So
You should be fine. I have good
I hope
feelings,
so.
good
You
good
never
vibes
know.
into the universe.
You never know. I mean, this is our 10th year doing it, and I'm
Yeah.
always a little bit nervous to see what the reaction is going to be, but it's always a fun time for us for sure.
Now, when you say, obviously there's hundreds of cigar makers, thousands of different brand lines. What sets you apart? Like, how did you want to be set apart from everybody else? on the shelf.
I wanted it to be more than just a cigar company, more than just cigars. My mind was always to create an aspirational brand. And by that, I mean,
Yeah,
I look at brands like outside of our industry for inspiration, like Harley Davidson to me is an aspirational brand. And by that, I mean that, even if you don't ride a bike or you don't own a Harley, people gravitate towards that message, that ethos of that brand of being rebellious, of having freedom, of being free to ride on the road and all that. So you may wear a Harley t-shirt even though you don't drive a bike or ride a bike.
yeah,
And that's what I wanted to do with Crown Heads. I wanted to say, okay, here are two guys out of Nashville, Tennessee that created a premium cigar company. They're not Cuban expatriates. They don't live in Miami. But they were successful at it. And so I wanted that to be something people aspire to and were inspired by so that they could do whatever they wanted to do. Like if somebody wanted, hey, I wanted to start my own law firm, well, then go start it. I wanted to start my own
yeah.
coffee brand, go start it. The only thing holding you back is yourself. So
Is yourself, yeah,
I really, the message and the ethos of the brand was more important to me than the product. And
yeah.
that's what I've always kind of tried to achieve.
Now, one of my favorite things is, like I said, you tend to engage with the community a lot. I always love seeing like you put your shorts up and
Hmm.
just kind of like, hey, community, what's good today? Lots of love, go do
Right.
something special. What are some other ways you engage with the community?
Well, social media for me has been my fallback, my go-to
Yeah,
because I don't travel and I'm not in stores and I'm not, this has enabled me to connect with, thousands of people at the press of a button. And so
yeah.
and even behind the scenes on DMs, I'll respond to people and engage in conversation or what have you.
No, that's how we
So
got started.
yeah, so it's been invaluable
Exactly.
for me to, if I didn't have that, I probably would be, my hand would be forced to be on the road more. But
Yeah,
I found it to be just a good tool to be just to put an authentic form of myself out there. What you see is
yeah,
what you get. I mean, there's not a lot of me editing stuff and filtering stuff, and I don't have somebody that
yeah,
does my social media for me. I mean, it's me. That's it. It's so if it's
yeah.
bad, it's me. If it's good, it's me. So I never really understood like companies and people that farm out their social media because to me the whole
Yeah,
idea behind social media has always been authenticity and being
yeah,
just true, right? So
yeah,
nobody's going to be able to do that but yourself. But people do it all the time. They farm it out, and it looks a little too fake, a little too polished. I like
yeah.
things that are authentic and raw.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because a lot of the feedback from whether it be boutique brands, mostly actually boutique brands, it feels more authentic. Like if you're
Hmm.
talking to somebody through DMs on social media, like when I've been talking to you, it just
Hmm.
feels different because you're not getting that, like I said, robotic. Like you're not gonna, DM Jonathan Drew and some girl from the sixth floor of his, New York, whatever,
Right.
is, going to be DMing you back, be like, oh, hey, thanks for dropping a line. We love our community here. And like
Yeah.
just being that authentic self and just kind of putting yourself out there and having the community interaction, I think is what draws people to certain brands. I know what, for me, that's what it's all about is the
100%.
authenticity and how it feels.
It should. And yeah, that's the ultimate goal for me, for sure.
Now, do you kind of insert yourself into like every facet of business, like sales, marketing, blending, production? Like, do you kind of oversee all that?
To a small degree, I'm involved with all of that, but I try to stay in my lane. And, my lane, over the course of the decade has evolved into I'm kind of like the front of the house in essence. Like when you go to a restaurant, who's the guy that greets you at that restaurant? That becomes the
Yeah,
face of that restaurant. That's me by default. 90% of my time is spent with, you know, product development. That's all me essentially working with various factories. As far as like the sales component, I've learned that the most effective thing to do is to hire good people and then give them the space to do what they do best. And so like we have a great sales team now. I think we've never had a better sales team. And it started with our national sales manager, Miguel Shodell, who I've known Miguel since he was I mean, at least 20 years now. So he started
Yep.
with CAO and we started together when he was like 21. He's a kid.
Wow.
And yeah, so now fast forward and we're still working with him. And he was a big turning point for us when we got him to be our national sales manager in 2017. And then we slowly started to build the team over the last 7 years, based upon him. So everybody that's with us now has been Miguel's hire, with the exception of Brian McGee, who was also an original CAO guy, and we got Brian back in 2014, I believe. So yeah, it's taken a while, but we've got a great team. I just couldn't be happy with that. So I let sales take care of sales, and sometimes, I mean, I like to be involved with it, but I don't
Yeah.
micromanage it at all. I think that's to be an effective leader, you have to realize that you got to delegate things and you got to
Yeah. Of
surround yourself with good people, right?
course. You surround yourself with good people, good things happen.
100%.
Now, if you were to kind of say, um, what's been some of the most rewarding things that you've gotten out of being like a CEO owner of Crown Heads? Like, what do you think?
The most satisfying thing for me is when I'll ask one of our guys, what's going on? How are you? And hey, I'm living the dream. I'm having a great time. That makes me feel good because I've been fortunate enough that somebody took a shot on me, 20 some odd years ago when John also gave me
Yeah.
a chance to live my best life. I'm able to do that now for other people. So when people are, we don't have a huge turnover, and that's
Yeah.
because people really enjoy what they do and they enjoy working for us and with us. That's the most gratifying thing to me, is to be able to pass that forward and give people an opportunity to really love what they do and enjoy it and have a good time and be successful and provide for their families. So that's my greatest gratification of it, I believe.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the taglines that I like to use, like what that I'm trying to build my brand on, is cigars is all about community, not competition.
That's
And
very true.
you don't need to be, the best in the market. You just need to, be able to work with everybody else because, why one of the we're not supposed to be beating each other down. We need to build each other up. And like I said in the beginning of the interview, I said that's what I think the world needs more of, more building up instead of tearing down of each other.
Yeah, no, and behind the scenes with other brand owners like myself, I mean, that's very much that holds true. Some of my longest friends and best friends are other brand owners. Just the other day, I got a call from Nicholas Melillo, and he's like, "Hey, I wanted to check in on you. See, I saw this this post, blah blah blah." He brought it to my attention, and we'll talk about family, we'll talk about
Yeah.
life, whatever. Some of my best friends, Pete Johnson, I've known Pete
Hmm.
since 1996. We're still good friends. Owe a lot of our success, especially now this time of year, Las Calaveras. I always go back to my memory, 2014, when I was in the factory for the first time with and I was with Pete, and Pete helped me
Hmm.
validate that original blend. So I mean, yeah, are we competitive? Sure, everybody's competitive. You don't do this to be, the 12th best brand. You want to be the
Of
best. I mean, that's what
course.
drives me. But I mean, nothing makes me happier than to see somebody else succeed as well. Like when I see all the success that Nicholas is having, I'm like, he's just such a great guy, and I'm so happy for him. And yeah, I mean, it's more like a fraternity behind the scenes than
Hmm.
a cutthroat business or
Yeah.
whatever. You know, there's definitely a sense of community.
Yeah. I mean, I've been talking with Pete just to, I've been trying to set something up with him. So you'll probably see him on the show in the near future, hopefully. Haven't been able to get a hold of Nick yet. Still trying for that one. Um,
Well, if you need some help with that, I know a guy. So
I appreciate that.
yeah,
Actually,
no problem. He's great,
I may
man.
actually take you up on that offer. I mean, one of my favorites I've been smoking a lot of is a lot of Connecticut broadleaf right now. So I've been smoking a lot of Dunbarton, a lot of Foundation, and a lot of stuff that it's just for some reason it's just the flavor of the Connecticut broadleaf is amazing.
It really
Um,
is. And Nicholas is the guy that could write those, 101 on that one. He knows so much about
uh,
broadleaf. He
yeah,
really does.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it's been an amazing journey with just getting to know Crown Heads and just ever since you just were like, hey, I want you to smoke Four Kicks 444. And ever since then, it's just been an amazing journey, just trying out all your stuff. Like I said, I'm looking forward to what else you're coming out with. I can't wait till La Calaveras drops. Um, I'm gonna try to push my be it my local guys to carry it. I push it everywhere I go.
No, I
Um,
appreciate that, man. I mean, that's really a lot of how we've slowly, organically built any success that we have is it's important to have good retail partners, but to me, it really what drives it is the consumer, the end
yeah,
guy that smokes it and says, "Hey, can you bring this in?" That's when it starts to really hum, is when it hits at the consumer level, and then it organically grows. And that's really, to me, that's more important than any ad or anything you'll see in a magazine
yeah.
for sure.
Do you listen now when it comes to like your cigars? Do you listen to a lot of what the public says to be like, hey, we're kind of looking for something like this on the market, or we're looking for something like this on the market? Do you sometimes try to, put something like that out there?
I listen to what people say specifically about our products that we put out, but I don't
Okay.
follow trends, if that makes sense. Like if
Yeah, I
somebody,
said, yeah,
if
exactly.
everybody's talking about, oh, the next great 6x60 cigar, well, that's great, but
Yeah.
that's not what I want to do. So I kind of start with what I want to do, what's in my heart that I really like, and then hope
Hmm.
that somebody vibes with it. But I will listen to feedback. And if people say something good, bad, or indifferent, I always pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And I listen to our reviews and see how things are being perceived in the the blogosphere, the media, what have you.
Hmm.
So I do pay attention, but I don't follow trends. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's cool because like I said, when you made Four Kicks 444, it was an awesome thing only because sometimes you want that like short smoke. Like I
Hmm.
try to, I'll take a bunch to work with me and like on a smoke break, I'll break out, one of the tiny guys I call it, and just smoke it on a break at work, and everybody's like, "Oh, what is that?" And I'll be like, "Ah, it's this company Crown Heads, and they just started making this new size, and it's perfect for like just like that break during the day where you're just like, all right, we're gonna go outside. Like today, we've had a gorgeous day in Jersey, and like on my break, we'll go out on lunch, eat outside, smoke a cigar, and
Perfect.
and you can't reach for like a six by 60.
Right.
Your boss will get pissed. But
Yeah.
when
Yeah, and
you when
like
you
that's
have that
that's
small
that
thing,
cigar is a good example. Like I didn't. That's totally bucks the trend of larger, bigger
yeah.
cigars. And
Mhm.
really, I have to give the credit to Pete, the owner at Briarworks, and that's something that literally he had approached me to do.
Yeah.
I want to say like 5 years ago, and it just kept because things get busy. I just kept pushing it and pushing it back and back, and finally we said, okay, let's just do it. And so we did it, and it's been very well received. But it wasn't because of any other reason other than Pete really liked that size, and it really worked in that blend. And I'm like, yeah, it's a winner. But again, it wasn't from following trends or anything. I mean, most people
Yeah.
tell you you're crazy to put out a 4x44. So, you know, so be it.
Any any final pearls of wisdom you'd like to drop to our viewers today?
Pearls of
Anything you want
wisdom,
to
you're
add?
asking the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great culture that premium cigars. It really is. And I would just encourage everybody to go out there and smoke as much as you possibly can. Not be stuck in one brand or one lane or one
Yeah.
varietal. Just go out there and experience this. There's so much out there, and most of it's really good. So, I mean, just that's the only way to really find out what you like and what you because everybody's different, and what's mild to you may be strong to me, vice versa, what have you. That's why I always try to hold back from like saying, oh, this is mild to medium. No, this is medium plus, or this is medium to full. I mean, you have to quantify it to an extent, but it's so subjective. And that's the beautiful thing about this industry is that it is subjective and you just kind of trial and error. So it's a great culture. It's a great community, as you say. So just
Yeah.
experience as much of it as you can. That would be my pearl of wisdom, I suppose.
And then past Las Calaveras,
Mm.
is there anything you could kind of like I know I don't want you to give all the secret stuff away, but past Las Calaveras, like what are we going to be looking forward to the rest of the year, possibly for Crown Heads?
Beyond Las Calaveras, beyond the Coroneta Habano, which we're about to start shipping within the next week,
Yeah.
and or the Maduro. So everything to that past that point. Um, Obviously, well, we got a TAA coming up in October, and that's we always do a
Okay.
TAA exclusive. So I'm working on that with Ernesto.
All right.
I'm working
Now,
on
when you say Ernesto, you're talking about Carrillo?
yes. Is there
Okay.
another one?
Just want to make sure. Well, I mean, like I said,
I don't
some people
know.
who may watch the channel, some
Yeah, yeah,
newbies out
yeah.
there.
Sure, sure.
EP
Ernesto Perez
Ernesto
Carrillo,
Carrillo
Casa
is
Carrillo.
EP Carrillo. Yeah, Casa
Yeah,
Carrillo
the goat.
is has made some amazing stuff. Exactly.
Yeah,
He's worked with everybody in the business.
he's great, man. If I could do a whole show for you on Ernie. He's such a great guy and such a Mount Rushmore individual. I
Yeah,
mean,
of course.
yeah, I would put the Garcias in the same category. I would say the Garcias are on Mount Rushmore, Jaime and Pepin, and
Yeah.
and they're just and Yanni, just such a great family, such good people to work with, and
Yeah.
that you kind of when you're doing what we do, from where we're at geographically, you kind
Hmm.
of have to have factories that you just trust implicitly.
Yeah.
They have great tobacco, they have
Hmm.
great workers. And we've been able to line up with that very, very effectively,
Yeah.
with Ernesto, with the Garcias, now with Naxa, with Raul Disla, and with Gustavo Cura, and also with Takanixa, with Radio Pichardo, who makes Mil Diaz and Juarez. And so we
Hmm.
have really great partners that I give all the credit to them. So that's a huge part of it, is to work with people
Yeah.
that you can really trust, that the product's gonna be right.
Yeah.
But past that,
So
so going back to your question, so
yeah.
we have a
Yeah.
TA
Yeah. Yeah.
exclusive. I'm working on another LE drop with Ernesto. Um, I've got a bigger project behind the scenes that I'm
Okay.
really working on, potentially like taking a few brands and rebranding them and maybe making them more, look more current as opposed to something from
Okay.
2010 or 11.
Yeah.
So there's all that going behind the scenes. I'm thinking of doing a Lavaretta uh, LE, but not in this blend. I'm
Okay.
working on a different blend with Ernesto. So I've got a lot of irons in the fire right now to sort out before. And then of course, the PCA, now that they moved it up and it's not summer anymore, I'm already looking at PCA in April, and I've got
In New Orleans, right?
in New Orleans, yes. So I'm
Yeah.
working on an idea for a regular production brand there. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's busy, real busy.
Yeah. I'm trying to build up my channel enough. Like I said, I'm trying to get it past to PCA next year for
You
New
should
Orleans.
go.
We'll see.
You should go. It's
I have to, I mean, I guess there's a big application process. I have to put all this stuff out there and we'll see what they say. And I'm
yeah.
try to get a
I
one of those
listen.
press passes.
I think it's worth it. I really do. I mean, when we do PCA, that's all I do is just press, like interview after interview and
Yeah.
talk, which I enjoy. But if the FDA wanted to assassinate the entire cigar industry in one fell swoop, they would that's their opportunity, drop a
Yeah,
bomb
of
on the
course.
PCA, right? Because everybody is there. So if you're a guy like yourself that's, in media and trying to get a foothold on that, that's your
Yeah.
opportunity to really work the room, and you could talk to pretty much everybody under the sun there. So it's a great opportunity. I would highly encourage it.
And it's funny that you say the FDA trying to assassinate the cigar industry. Do you follow like any of what's been going on with these restrictions that are trying to go around throughout the
Yeah,
country? Like I know there's
you
one thing I just saw a news story out of I think it was Minnesota where like the town of is it like Minneapolis or something put like a 15-minute
I saw
time
that.
limit on inside smoking. Like how do you smoke a cigar in 15 minutes?
You can't. I mean, that's
Exactly.
ludicrous. It's a little scary, that they could do something like that, to be honest with you. So yeah, I do pay attention to it. I pay attention to it like everybody else. Half Wheel is a great news source. They seem to be very timely in their report. But I
Yeah.
also, behind the scenes, obviously a lot of guys here are connected to PCA and the whole fight with the FDA. So I don't get consumed with the fear of the sword of
Hmm. Of
Damocles hanging over our heads, but I'm aware
course.
of it, but
Yeah.
I keep plugging along. Even when it looked really bad with deeming regulations 8 years ago in
Yeah.
2016. I mean, there was a couple of days there where I was really, I mean, scared, beyond, because I was like, oh, this is it. It's over. It's like we can't do this anymore, and I don't know what I'm going to
Yeah.
do for a job, and what am I get, how can I make a living for my family? And but we just kept plugging along, kept the blinders on, and did things, and
Yeah.
so here we are. So it's
And
it's
then
okay.
just going back to PCA in New Orleans.
Hmm.
Now I know the last one was in Vegas, and on the show floor, it's in a big, like it was in a big giant event space.
Yep.
And they were allowing smoking inside. Now, one of the things I've been kind of hearing was that New Orleans has like really tight restrictions on like smoking inside spaces. Like, has there been any news on if they're going to allow like a variance to allow PCA to smoke inside? Are they going to have outside smoking spaces? How's that going to work? Do you know anything
I
about that
think
yet?
it's I think it's going to be more, they're talking more about like restaurants and bars, non-smoking,
Okay.
but in the venue where they're going to have the actual trade show, you will be able to smoke.
Okay, because I know a
Yeah.
bunch of people were kind of approaching me, be like, if I knew anything, because I've been doing a lot of research on PCA recently, and I know one of the things I came up with was that everybody was kind of like how's it going to work because there's no smoking inside, and
You'll
if
be able to smoke in the convention center for sure. That's a
all right.
given. There's no question about that. Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, I didn't want to take up too much of your time. Went really way past what I wanted to
Oh
take up
man,
because I know, like I said, you're a busy guy that has a
all
company to
good.
run, and I'm just a small fish here. But
As
like I
am I.
said,
Trust me.
and I wanted to, like I said, thank you so much for you humble me by coming on the show.
Anytime,
And
Rob.
again, your package was amazing. I extremely, extremely appreciate it. And thank you for coming on the show.
My
Thank you
pleasure, Rob.
for speaking with me. And hopefully I can speak with you soon. Maybe in the near future, we'll
I'm here.
when something else drops, we'll figure something out. So thank you so much
Let's do it,
for
man.
joining me on Sticks at the Shore.
All
I've
right.
been talking with John Huber. So hopefully we'll stop by Nashville next time I'm there, and
Sounds
we'll
good.
come see you guys. Say hi. All
Sounds
right.
good, man. Enjoy the rest
All
of your
right.
cigar, rest of your day. Cheers.
Thanks, John.
All
Cheers.
right.